Well, good morning. I'm going to try and keep this short-ish, under 25 minutes. Hope, because it's 7:30 a.m. Uh, Julie Green Ministries comes on, and she is a very encouraging woman. I want to read a couple of things today. It is still Passover week. It is Wednesday, April 16th, and this is kind of a running theme at this point for me that faith without works is dead. Prayer without action is worthless, meaningless. I realize that's going to offend some people, and that's kind of the point. Hang on, I gotta plug in my adapter. So, I'm going to start with a prayer for the protection and the victory of the Israel Defense Forces. I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to go into a couple other things and try to tie it all together for you guys. He who blessed our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless the fighters of the Israel Defense Forces, who stand guard over our land and the cities of our God, from the border of the Lebanon to the desert of Egypt, and from the great sea unto the approach of the Arabah, on the land and in the sea and in the air. May the Almighty cause the enemies who rise up against us to be struck down before them. May the Holy One, blessed be He, preserve and rescue our fighters from every trouble and distress, and from every form of plague and illness, and may He send blessing and success in their every endeavor. May He lead our enemies under our soldiers' sway, and may He grant them salvation and crown them with victory. And may there be fulfilled for them the verse first, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you to battle your enemies and to save you. There's nothing passive about our God. He's dynamic. That's what's going on in Israel, right? Since October 7th, and any of us with any, we've just got to start saying this. There's a deep state in Israel, just like there's a deep state in the United States, and that is a group of people that are wedded ideologically to the idea of a two-state solution and a one world order for a United Nations and peace and safety and security. And in response to that, just going to read you this. If you are waiting to find a clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has been more clear and its presence has never been more imminent. It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in mission by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader and by every news outlet. For we are oppressed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into building a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlines. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned. No rumor is printed. No secret is revealed. Now that is a quote from John F. Kennedy in 1961, and as we all know, 2 years later, he was assassinated by the CIA. And that kicked off the open coup, which I believe started right after World War II. But the open coup was the assassination of John F. Kennedy Jr., and then Martin Luther King Jr. a few years later, and then Robert F. Kennedy Jr. a couple years after that. You guys, you've been lied to your whole lives. Nixon was forced into taking the country off the gold standard, framed with the Watergate tapes, which, I mean, the amount of surveillance we're under now makes that look like child's play. I can't even believe that a president got impeached for that when, you know, this, every word you say, every move you make, every action you take. And it's to the point now where the same tactics are applied in your local congregation. You might say something I don't like, so I'm going to mute you. I'm not going to take your question. Or your job, where a group of nurses with their cell phones communicate with each other every little thing you say and do to bring you down, to gaslight you, and take you out. But you say there's no deep state. Because that couldn't possibly be the case. So instead of getting real news, I've noticed I watch YouTube a lot. I don't watch the mainstream outlets too much, just enough to know that they say the same thing all day, every day. And then I watch the whitehouse.gov press briefings. I watch so I can actually hear what the president has to say in context, and what the press secretary has to say, and what the attorney general has to say, and what the director of the FBI has to say. and what rogue judges are doing. And the conclusion I come to is basically when I pray, I don't know about the rest of the world, but when I pray, He always tells me to do something. It's never once. I mean, sometimes He says, wait. But even in the waiting, it's the verb. He doesn't say passively do nothing. And so I'm going to let this go for today. But you really need to take it to heart that your country hasn't been free your whole life, because it is under a one world system. The Antichrist is already here. Okay? I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know how bad you think it has to get. But at the end of it, I'm going to leave you with this this verse from the book of Daniel, which I feel is where we are. And it's a good verse, I believe. You can go for it in the Amplified Classic Edition. Maybe I'll try and do that. I don't have that in paper. But it is important enough for you to bear with me until I pull it up. I believe it's Daniel chapter 7 and verse 22 that I'm pulling up. And I'm going to go for the Amplified Classic, if I can. This thing is tricky because it's always wanting to give you a commercial. All right. Chapter 7. Daniel's talking about the beast and the lion. Uh, 22, I said. This is, I wish I'd had this prepared, but I didn't know I was going here. But this is where we are, okay? First of all, you're under the beast system already, is the takeaway. You already are, okay? And people have been being divided for decades into two groups, more or less. Those who follow the one true God and those who don't. Okay, you can claim to and still not. You can know all about him and still not follow him. And this is where we are. Until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people of the Most High. And the time came when they possessed the kingdom. Okay? So what does it mean to possess something? Well, Let's look up the word possessed. Possessed. To possess. The meaning, and this is just, possessed, possessing, possesses. To have and hold. To seize. To take control of. To enter into and control firmly. To bring or cause to fall under the influence, domination, control, or some emotional or intellectual response. To instate. To make the owner or holder. Possessed of riches, possessed of knowledge and experience. Synonyms for possessed are command, have, own, hold, retain. Okay? They're all verbs. It's time for you to stop watching the same bullshit on the news all day, every day, and think you know what's going on. Okay? We've been at war with Iran since its proxies attacked Israel on October 7th, 2024. Okay? Open war. Okay? You're either on the side of good or you're not. There is no middle. There is no middle. There is no, I'm going to see where this goes. Okay? The Antichrist is already here. It's the beast system. Stop looking for an evil person and look at the evil system. Stand against that. If you've got skills, they need to be employed right now. If you've got a voice, use it. Okay? Because I may not be winning any popularity contests, but that's not the point. The point is to be a watchman on the wall, to sound the alarm, to get people to wake up and do a different thing. I really like House of David, this new series on Amazon Prime, and I forgive them that they can't be perfect to the biblical. Not everything is perfect to the biblical narrative, but I it's still an awesome show, and you should watch it because it gets a point across, which is God isn't with you sitting on your couch. David was saying, why are you listening to this giant for 40 days to his brothers? And one of them said, well, God isn't with us. And he says, yeah, he's not with you here. He's with you there on the battlefield. That's where he's with you. Maybe I'll read this prayer one more time. He who blessed our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may he bless the fighters of the Israel Defense Forces, who stand guard over our land and the cities of our God, from the border of the Lebanon to the desert of Egypt, and from the great sea unto the approach of the Arabah, on the land and in the air and on the sea. May the Almighty cause the enemies who rise up against us to be struck down before them, before the IDF. May the Holy One, blessed be He, preserve and rescue our fighters from every trouble and distress, and from every plague and illness, and may He send blessing and success in their every endeavor. May he lead our enemies under our soldiers' sway. And may he grant them salvation and crown them with victory. And may there be fulfilled for them the verse, for it is the Lord, your God, who goes with you to battle your enemies to save you. Shalom.